and welcome to Books, Shoes, and Writing. This is our first debut talk show, so the decorations are a little scarce. I have little flowers. Next time, though, I promise I'll have some shoes and some books and more lively music. But today, our guest is Austin Camacho, and he is the author of 5 detective novels and 4 international thrillers. And I've known him for probably 4 years, maybe 5. It was kind of sketchy how we first met because I was a debut author. I was doing my first little sad book signing at Borders, Moment of Silence for Borders. And in rushes him with his little cart and all his little cookies and treats. And so, long story short, he was very gracious. He, gave me tips on how to be a better writer, how to do a book signing, how to step out and do things that you wouldn't normally do because as an author, your own business person. So, without further ado, I want Mr. Austin Camacho to tell us a little bit about himself.
Wow. Okay. You've already told him everything that really matters. The fact that I have 5 mystery novels. Hannibal Jones is my detective. He is an African American private eye who works in Washington, D.C. And his stories are the kind of brain teasers that make you think and keep you guessing right to the end.
Like a crossword puzzle?
Oh, maybe more like Sudoku.
Okay. See, I could never figure out how to use only one number one, the 1 through 9, and it was like, can I just, try to cheat? And you really can't cheat in Sudoku. Can you cheat in your novels? Can you cheat and guess what's going to happen?
If you're really sharp, you can probably figure it out. I like to have all the clues there, so when you get to the end, you kind of like, smack your forehead and say, geez, I should have known. But
Okay.
they're cleverly placed. I think.
So, but that's for the Hannibal Jones mystery.
Yes.
How is it
Yes.
for the thrillers?
Well, those aren't so much brain teasers. They are straight ahead action all the way, kind of reading an Indiana Jones movie.
Okay.
I feature some mismatched, I will say, partners. An African American mercenary soldier, Morgan Stark, and his partner is Felicity O'Brien, who is an Irish expatriate jewel and art thief. And they have come together to form a personal security company, and they are often asked to go undercover and help out by the FBI, the CIA, etc., because they have all of these underworld connections.
So, would your Hannibal character ever run into your Stark and O'Brien characters?
Well,
would they ever cross paths?
I've thought about it from time to time. I haven't been able to come up with a good reason for them to meet, but I think it's probably inevitable that at some point or other they will run into each other.
Okay, well, because you do have 9 novels, and we have heard horror stories about people's covers of their novels, and that's not what they wanted. How much input do you get to have as far as what the covers of your novels look like?
Well, kind of a two-part answer there. The publisher I'm with now does a very good job of choosing covers, and I usually try a little of this or nudge it a little bit that way. But I'm not real good at coming up with an idea of what represents my whole book. So I always like their idea, and then I will tweak a little bit. To be completely honest with you, I don't worry about it too much. I believe that part of the publisher's job is to know what kind of cover is going to sell this book.
So it's all about it. So your covers are all about the book, or are they about the concept?
Maybe my covers are about the concept of that book. I mean, they're not a scene from the book.
Okay.
If that's what you mean. But it's something that will give you the idea. The purpose of the cover is not to tell you all about the story. The purpose of the cover is to make you curious enough to want to pick up the book. Once you've got the book in your hand, my words are supposed to sell you
Okay.
the book. But
Mhm.
first you got to pick it up, and that's why a cover that kind of has a sharp idea or concept, that looks interesting.
Mhm.
That will pull you.
Okay. So, how do you do the research for your books? Now, I know that Hannibal is in the DC metro area, so it's not that hard. But I mean, I'm sure. I'm not sure. Do you go to all of the DC locales that he will be, frequenting, or do you go and sit on a dark corner like a stalker and take pictures and or do you just have people that that live in DC and say, hey, I was doing so and so and so and so. And you take what they have said to you and use that in your book, or do you just make it all up?
The district is close, and I also have them wandering in Maryland and Virginia, obviously. And so for that series, I do go to the places, and I will sit in that restaurant, or I'll pick out a particular corner, or pick out a particular house and say, this is where this character lives. It's pretty easy. But for the other series, I started out writing about places I had been during my military career.
Okay.
But to be honest with you, I think that it's not really necessary.
Okay.
To be there.
Okay.
In order to get the flavor, in order to get the atmosphere of your setting.
Is that because of Google Maps? Again, Street View and all that. You can just zoom right in and say, okay, on this corner, I know it's this, this, and this.
I'll tell you what. Go to the library.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you're going to set your novel in Ireland, which is where my second Starkin O'Brien book is.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the library and get a big picture book of Ireland. The people who wrote that book want you to get the atmosphere and the flavor and the feel of the place.
Mm-hmm.
Dig into that book, and you've pretty much got everything you need for the setting for a novel, for your fiction.
Now, how did you? Because I know in the second novel that was set in Ireland, I know there was some Irish dialect that was spoken, and you cleverly told us how the words would have sounded if they were talking to us. So how do you do that right when a lot of people think, okay, I need to write it like it sounds instead of writing it, as a person that does not speak it? How did you do that?
That's a really good question, because I'm not a believer in writing dialect. Mm-hmm. I'm not a believer in phonetic spelling or leaving letters out to try to. I think that slows the reader down, mm-hmm. because now I got to figure out, what is he trying to say. Mm-hmm. What I've learned from listening to people from various places is that their word choice, their word order, where they put their pauses, that's what carries it. And if you use the words that those folks would use in the order that they would use them, and construct the type of sentence they would construct, mm-hmm. your reader will hear the accent.
Okay.
Readers are pretty sharp in that regard. Mm-hmm. And I also am very careful not to have my characters use tired, trite, worn out phrases that people just don't use anymore. Like book full of Irish characters, but nobody's going to say Sharon Bagara or something like that, because they don't say that.
Okay.
They do say I'm knackered when they mean I'm tired.
Okay.
I don't say
Blarney? Drats. If it's somebody in their 80s, would they say drats, or would they think the word drats? So I see what you say, because when I read the second novel, mm-hmm. I remember saying, wow, I can hear what that sounds like, and I'm not Irish. Clearly, I'm not Irish. But I could hear, and I've never heard an Irish person talk except, mm-hmm. for on television. They always do it so badly. But I knew that that's what they were saying, and then sometimes you did that. You would say a word, and then the person was like, "What?" And it's like, "Oh, they said it without the th, mm-hmm. or without the br, or right. So then you knew exactly what they were trying to say. So tell us how you connect with your fans.
Wow. The short answer, any way I can. I love to visit book clubs and talk to them personally about
Book
my
clubs,
books.
people. Book clubs, people. They are your friend, and they feed you well.
Yes. And if you're in a book club, send me an email. I'll be happy to come over and talk to you about my book anytime.
See, he'll give you the email address after the show.
But also a lot of social media. I connect with my fans on Facebook and through Twitter and on
You tweet?
LinkedIn.
You're a tweeter?
I tweet.
You're a tweeter.
Not as often as I should.
Okay.
But I tweet.
Okay.
And whenever I can, I do personal appearances at conferences, in bookstores when they let me. Anything to put me face to face with those people who read and get some feedback. That feedback is very important.
When you're at conferences, we do a lot of conferences together, and we have a whole circuit that we do. But when you're at conferences, do you find that even though it's mainly the same people that go to those conferences, are you finding that that is still helpful to you?
Absolutely. First of all, it's not always the same people. I see new people each time. And somebody that didn't really remember me the first time they saw me, or maybe the first time they saw me, they said, well, he's one of those guys that's going to be a flash in the pan. After the second or third time where they see me on a panel, then they may decide, well, you know, that guy's still hanging, he's still writing stuff. Maybe I ought to start his books. So that, and also the connection I make with other writers is very important. Because other writers kind of, once you're drawn into that circle, you start to meet the people they meet. And the people who interviewed them want to interview you, or the people who ask them to contribute a short story will say, oh, what about Camacho guy? So all those connections, very important. It is very much a networking business if you want to be a fiction author.
Okay, so since we have delved into your books and talked about your characters, I always find it fascinating to think who would want to be your characters. And, you know, because in my mind, I already know who should be all these people. So who do you think should play Hannibal Jones?
Well, from the very beginning, when the character sprang to my mind, I pictured Shamar Moore.
Shamar Moore, people. Baby girl. We need him to be Hannibal Jones. He would make a great Hannibal Jones.
Yes, we do.
Is that okay? If you couldn't get Shamar Moore, say Shamar Moore, you know, retired. He retired and he's not, and he says, you know what? I have the perfect guy for you. Who would that perfect guy be?
Wow, I don't even know who my second choice would be.
No second choice? You gotta always have a second choice. Okay, what about Morgan? Who would be Morgan?
Now, that's interesting. There's an actor named Eamon Walker. He's right now, he plays a police chief on Chicago Fire.
Okay.
I never saw him. These characters go back so far that the people I originally had in mind for them are now much too old.
Okay.
But when I saw Eamon Walker on the screen, he's very tall, he's very solid, he's dark, but he's got a good smile. I said, wow, that's Morgan right there.
Eamon Walker, if you're listening, tweet Austin Camacho.
Right.
You might have a second gig going on with, you know, bringing the character to life.
When Chicago Fire starts to fade out.
When it fizzles, when the flames have been put out, you may have a second job.
Yes.
Okay, what about
Absolutely.
Felicity?
Now, there's the tough one.
Really?
I've never spotted an actress and said, wow, that's my girl. That's Felicity O'Brien.
See, you know who I would say for Felicity? Reba McEntire.
She's not an actress?
Yes, she is.
Oh, okay.
Reba McEntire had her own comedy show, and she did pretty well. I mean, but she has that fiery red hair.
Do you think she could do the accent?
I think she could. I think she could with a little country twang. I mean, and it wouldn't be bad. It wouldn't be bad. You would have to think about it. I mean, you know, they do have countries. You know, there is a countryside of Ireland. You know, not everybody speaks perfect Irish dialect. You got to think outside the box. Think outside the box. But that's who I thought. Reba McEntire. That's who I thought. Or, and you know, I cannot think of Shania Twain. Another country actor. She is an actress. But, I mean, she has the look. of
Okay.
Felicity. Now, I don't know if she can act worth a darn, but she has the look of Felicity. Dye her hair a little red, and when she was feel like a woman, so that would be, she could take a shot at it.
Now, the actress, I don't know her name, but the actress who was the second lead in Burn Notice, who was playing an Irish terrorist.
Okay.
She had the accent perfect,
Mm-hmm.
and she had the right look pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite, but pretty much. So I know that she could pull it off. But
Okay.
We gotta find somebody we have to have open casting.
Open casting
for
people.
Felicity
Again,
O'Brien.
look for him on Twitter. Look for him on Facebook. Give your suggestions. If you think that you have the part, okay, we already know Shamar Moore is the lock for Hannibal.
Yes.
So we don't need any more. Well, unless you have a plan B in case Shamar just says, he's taking all the baby girls of the world traveling somewhere. So he might not be available. But the Morgan Stark, pick up one of his books. Pick up The Payback Assignment, which is the first.
Yeah.
Orion Assignment is the one that was in Ireland.
Right.
Piranha takes place in the Panama,
Yes.
Panamanians,
It's
submarines,
Panama.
all of those. And my favorite people, the Ice Woman. That one is in Colombia. Who would play Anaconda?
Oh, I don't really have an actress because Anaconda is very short.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously Latin,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know anybody who would be able to do that. Hollywood would find us.
Yeah, but isn't that the fun of pretending you can be in on that casting call and just like, okay, next, like rappers and models. We could do that for books. And speaking of the bold move that Beyonce did, bringing out her own quote unquote indie album. Do you think a lot of authors are going to use that as incentive to get their self out there more?
I don't know if it would work for a book as well as it worked for the music.
Mm-hmm.
Although I would think that anything that's new and creative and original will probably help to sell your book.
Okay.
Reference you, Howie.
Hugh Howey, right? Exactly. And this is not a plug for Hugh Howey. I don't even know him, so he's not paying me. But Hugh Howey, I would love to have one of those USB drives with the little radiation symbol on it. Level 37. See, that's how close I was looking at that video today. But I mean, that's ingenious.
Yes.
And I think authors forget that you are your own business and you have to market and you have to figure out what's going on. And see, for me, BSW, Book Shoes Writing, now the talk show, BSW on books or whatever. So every time that people come up with something, they have to think, ding, that's a great idea.
Have an idea.
Like a little light bulb going off up here, So I want to thank you for our debut show, and people, just the little flowers here. It will get better. It'll get better, I promise. It'll get better. We'll have a backdrop and some cute little shoes, and you if you have an idea on how to make the set better, let me know.
Is your audience writers or readers?
I hope my audience are going to be both, and here's why. Because if I'm having authors on the show, I want to introduce them to a new author that they can introduce to their book club or their library. But if it's fans, I want to hear from the fans what they want to see. Do you want to see my shoes, my shoe collection? I mean, I do have plenty of shoes. I would be willing to share, not loan, but share with the public. I mean, that's the least I can do. So tell us before we go, what is the project you're working on right now?
Right now, I'm working on the next Hannibal Jones mystery.
Mm-hmm.
Working title, The Crystal Deception.
Really?
Yes. Which starts out with Hannibal interviewing someone to try to find out details of a swindling scheme.
Okay.
And while he is talking to that person, they're killed in a drive-by shooting.
Oh.
And he has to, obviously, he can't let that go.
Right.
Kill somebody right in front of him.
Right in front of him, like, wow. Be like, wow, you're just going to do it just like that, just right in front of me. Just right in front of me.
And it grows from there.
Okay.
I'm liking it as it goes,
Good.
You'll see what I think at the very end.
Okay, and you heard it here first, people. It's called the crystal deception, not the pyramids, not a pyramid.
No.
Okay, so we're gonna hashtag. Look for it on Twitter, people. Hashtag the crystal deception. Whenever you see that, feel free to retweet that because that book is gonna be coming out possibly tomorrow morning. Now,
But
again,
you said pyramid, that might be even better.
see,
think about that.
see, and you heard it here first, folks. I might be credited with the title change. It could be. Okay. Well, you know what? Let's put it out there. Pyramid. It could be the pyramid deception, or it could be the crystal deception. We're gonna hashtag that, and we're gonna see what the public says. How about that? We're gonna see what's gonna happen with them.
Enough.
And I thank you for sitting down and talking to me with my lonely little flowers.
No, but those of you who are writers out there, you have an imagination. So picture
shoes.
Whatever you think.
Picture shoes. Red bottoms. Picture red bottoms right there. Because at some point I will have some red bottoms. They may be colored in red bottoms, but they will be red bottoms nonetheless. They might be pink or they might be green. What is it? Yellow and something make green. Yellow and blue and yellow make green. Or some such foolishness as that. But if you tell me what colors make red, I will have those shoes sitting here, and then we can imagine that they're red bottom shoes. But I am B. Swangin Webster. This is
Austin Camacho.
And we like to thank you for joining us on the BSW Show.
Thank you.
Good night.